Welcome back, my friends, to Truthseekers, where we explore some of the strangest and most mysterious stories on planet Earth. Tonight, we'll be discussing the mysterious and legendary orang Pendak, which is said to be an unknown species of ape-man, perhaps related to the legendary Bigfoot or Yeti or Sasquatch. Interestingly, this ape-man is has been reported for thousands of years in Sumatra and Indonesia. What that means is, to me, it means that it's interesting because orangutans are native to Indonesia and Sumatra. That is their native lands. So I've always thought that the orang Pendak might be a misidentified orangutan. When people see these things walking upright in the forest, it may be a unknown species of orangutan. Or excuse me, it may simply be an orangutan who is walking upright. And this has always fascinated me. Are people really seeing an unknown species of ape-man, the missing link, a Bigfoot-like creature that walks upright like a human? People have often said that orang Pendak has different facial features. It has very human-like facial features, which I've always found fascinating. I suppose that many people have seen these things very up close, which really is fascinating. People claim that they have a much more human-like appearance in their face, less hairy, slimmer nose, and a much more human-like appearance. So the three possibilities with the legendary myth or mystery of the orang Pendak is that it is either someone simply misidentifying an orangutan as an unknown ape or unknown ape-like species, or that it is actually an unknown ape-man. The third possibility is that it could very well be an unknown subspecies or different species of an orangutan. It's interesting to note that as recently as 2017, an entirely new species of great ape was discovered, and that was in Sumatra, and that is called a Tapanuli orangutan. They look to me very similar to the orangutans that I grew up seeing, but there are some distinct differences. And it's interesting that an entire population of great ape has gone undiscovered until as recently as 2017. For those skeptics who think there can't be something as large as a population of great apes out there that's undiscovered, we have that example of an actual orangutan species that was undiscovered until 2017. And also, recently, there have been a species called the billy ape, which is basically a giant chimpanzee. In that case, it is considered a subspecies of the main, species of chimpanzees, but there are distinct differences. Those billy apes that have been discovered, in the early 2000s, I believe, those are huge in comparison to a regular chimpanzee. And there was an entire population of them discovered in the Congo. So that is very interesting. So I wanted to see if these may be misidentified orangutans that are simply walking upright. I found an example of an actual from a clip of Orangutan Island of orangutans walking upright, and we're going to cite fair use. We're educating the public. Let us take a look at this clip and watch what it looks like when you see an actual orangutan walking upright. Looks very similar, or could look very similar to what people are describing as the orang Pendak. Let's take a watch, friends.
Of ground walkers, probably because of the influence of upright walking humans. Sometimes they knuckle walk like their chimpanzee cousins. From time to time, they walk upright like the humans who raised them.
And that looks a little freaky.
8-year-old Yayan is a particularly competent upright walker. Yayan arrived at the Nyaru Mantang Orangutan Rescue Project after living as a family pet for 2 years. She grew up imitating humans instead of her real mom.
It's interesting to note that many people take great apes as pets until they reach maturity or get too large, because they are very, very strong and powerful, and they do not make good pets after they're a baby. There's various examples of that, most notably with chimpanzees.
She likes to get in a little quality power walking as she waits for her next food delivery.
Okay, friends, we're going to stop it there. I just wanted to show a working example of what it looks like when an orangutan is walking upright. And to me, that looks particularly mysterious. If I saw that thing walking upright like a person, especially from a distance, I might believe that I saw some unknown ape-man or some mysterious creature instead of a very well-known great ape, the orangutan. Okay, so I have an additional clip. I'm going to cite fair use, and this is from Nat Geo TV. And this is a person being interviewed who was an eyewitness, a local man who was an eyewitness to the orang Pendak. It's it's a mysterious thing. This man basically claims that the orang Pendak broke in his home to steal sugar. And we have an interview with him that I found that I thought was very relevant, so that we could see and hear from an actual eyewitness to the legendary orang Pendak. Again, I'm going to cite fair use. We're educating the public about this mysterious orang Pendak. We'll be discussing the clip. Again, I'm going to cite fair use. This is from natgeo.com, and this is an ape-man home invasion. If you thought regular home invasions were scary, imagine an ape-man breaking into your house. Let's watch, friends. I've got it queued up here.
I'm interested in an animal that people call orang Pendak.
Sudah lihat 2 kali mendatang. Rumput itu disapu sembarang. Saya bantai jalan. Rendah.
Not only has he heard about the animal, but he said in the 10 years that he's lived here, he's seen it twice. When you saw the creature, what were you doing?
Orang pendek kan duduk di sini makan gulu. Gulu pasir tuh.
Wow, so he's saying that the animal actually broke in right out of here and came in and was stealing sugar out of this pouch.
Center, nampak.
And he's saying that he got a really good look at the animal, because when he heard something out here, he, kind of shined a flashlight on it.
I just wanted to mention, though, that he's in orangutan, in a place where there are, a really good population of orangutans. So again, I still think that many people may be seeing regular orangutans and are mistaking them for something much more mysterious. But let's continue.
What was it like when you saw it? What did you do?
Kita kan bawa tombak tuh. Bikin tombak begini.
Whoa. Yeah.
Kita mau model ni, tidak tuh.
So he's saying that when he first saw it, he jumped up, he grabbed the spear, he held it, pointed it at the animal, and the animal just took off and ran away. It's really interesting to me that this creature would, first of all, break into someone's house when there are people in here. I mean, most animals that I know of are trying to avoid humans at all cost. And the other thing that really is striking is that it was at night. There's really no primates that I can think of, certainly not around here, and definitely none of the great apes that are active at night. So what did it look like?
I just wanted to mention it could be that, I'm experiencing some things at my cabin that don't make sense from a normal animal perspective. Like the deer will just walk right next to you. The deer at my cabin will walk right up to you. That is not a normal thing that an animal will do, but maybe these creatures have become accustomed to humans and also realize that humans are a good source of food if they're hungry.
Like,
Dari tanah rendah, rendah besar.
very strong. Very strong. Wow. He's saying that it's a very broad, really, kind of a wide, strong-looking animal, but short. He's describing it as being just under about a meter tall, so about 3 feet. How about the way that it moves?
Jalannya begini jalannya. Jalannya begini. Nggak begini enggak. Begini jalannya.
He's describing this animal as walking on 2 legs. He's saying that its hands don't touch the floor. I have some.
Yeah, and that's interesting because an orangutan usually they walk on fours.
Some colors in here. Could you show me what the closest color is to the animal?
Kagak.
Huh. Very interesting. All right, terima kasih. Thank you. Does the face look like orang Pendak?
Orang pendek ini enggak kemudian ini. Ini bedanya yang ini. Sama yang gitu biasa.
Right, so he's saying that the face of the gibbon is a little bit like orang Pendak, but it's much more pointed. He said orang Pendak is flatter and a lot more human-like. Does this face look more like orang Pendak with how flat it is and with the big sort of part on the head?
Orang pendek enggak. Sama yang gitu biasa.
All right, so he says, it's getting a little bit closer there, but the nose is nothing like the nose of a gorilla.
Yeah, normally they're described as having a thin nose like a person.
Nose of orang Pendak is much more like a person's. Wow. Yeah, that really gives me a very good description of this creature that he saw. And the things that he's saying about the way that it carries itself and the way that the face looks, it sounds like just a complete mix between great apes and humans, which is so exciting and so unusual.
Yeah, very interesting that we have firsthand reports from the locals, and there are many firsthand reports of locals who claim to have seen this orang pendek several times. It really is an interesting thing. And the other thing that always strikes me is that I would think that the locals are used to seeing orangutans and would be able to just know that's an orangutan. I mean, it's like, it's a very common thing in that area to see, even a troop or a group of orangutans, moving together. So the fact that someone who is used to seeing orangutans wouldn't know the difference between an orangutan and this so-called orang pendek, it makes me very curious. I would think that they would know the difference between a regular orangutan and something much more exotic, something much more mysterious or rare, like orang pendek. Now I have another clip that is from looks like Discovery Canada, and this is about explorer Adam Davies. If you watch a lot of documentaries about weird things, and I do, like Bigfoot and cryptid creatures, you might recognize this gentleman, Adam Davies. He is traveled the world looking for cryptid creatures. He's been everywhere from South America looking for surviving dinosaurs people claim to see, to Sumatra and Indonesia looking for this orang pendek. But his particular interest, I believe, really has been focused a lot on this orang pendek. So, we are going to cite fair use and again play this clip. And again, this is from Orang Pendek Daily Planet is the title of the video. It's from Discovery Canada, which is an educational channel, I believe, and I don't think they would mind, but I'm still going to cite fair use. We'll be using this clip to educate the public, and we'll be discussing the clip as we watch this. I just wanted people to see what goes into some of these people that go and hunt these things, some of these people that go out into the real world Imagine that, research by more than just the internet. To his credit, this person, Adam Davies, has made a career of actually going out into the field and looking for these things, of trying to document them, of trying to find proof of them. So again, we're going to cite fair use, and we are going to take a look at what it takes to find these cryptid creatures. Let's watch, friends.
One of the most significant discoveries since the moon landing.
This is Adam Davies, a cryptozoologist on a mission to prove that we don't know everything that's out there.
And I travel all over the world looking for unknown species. So from the Congo jungle looking for potential dinosaurs, to mountains looking for the Yeti in Nepal, to here in California looking for the Hodgie monster. And I try and find credible scientific evidence that these creatures exist.
As intrigued.
And I just wanted to mention that I've heard people make fun of this gentleman a lot. You know, he's going out there looking for these things that don't exist, people say, and other things. But I think you got to give the guy credit, because unlike a lot of people who do their research, you know, their armchair research in the comfort of their home, and if it's not on the internet, they can't find it. At least he's out there in the real world trying to find the evidence of these things and prove or disprove them.
Intriguing as they are, there's one creature that has had a hold on Adam for years. Nope, not King Kong. It's much, much smaller.
What's so fascinating about the orang Pendak is the mystery of exactly what it is. People have been talking about the existence of the orang Pendak right back as far as Marco Polo. The orang Pendak is often described as being about 5 foot to 5.5 feet tall. It's a small bipedal primate. It's described as having a large torso with the physiology of a chimpanzee. It ranges in colour from dark hair on its back to a lighter honey-coloured. It's an omnivorous, opportunistic feeder. So
opportunistic feeder. There are various reports of one of these creatures entering village and stealing food from a human village. I found multiple sources of reports of the orang Pendak sort of raiding a village and getting away with whatever food it could from the local humans, which may explain many of these sightings. Perhaps they are opportunistic feeders. They've learned that humans have food and they can go and take food from humans. So if there is not a lot of fruit in the forest at that time, or they're not finding a lot of food sources, it's very common to hear reports of an orang Pendak coming into a human village and taking food.
What I mean by that is that it snacks as it moves through the forest. But what really strikes people are two particular things. First of all, the human-like face, and most particularly, the fact that it walks like a man.
Adam knows this thanks to this massive collection of footprint castings.
What's unique about this? Well, it's very different to, say, a human foot or an orang foot. Humans and orangutans, for example, have very long toes in contrast to the short toes of this creature. The big toe is divergent. That's away from the main body of the foot. In fact, this particular cast has actual leaf prints on it.
To keep a grip on this orang reality, he's tried to travel in their footsteps.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that I've seen a separate documentary with this gentleman where a primatologist looks at his castings and said that there were anatomical features that would be very difficult to fake in a footprint if you were going to try to hoax a footprint from this thing. The divergent toe does not exist. It doesn't match an actual orangutan, which kind of blows my theory that these are misidentified orangutan sightings. But it is what it is. We have primatologists that have studied his so-called footprint evidence and said these appear to be real. These appear to be footprints made by a real animal. There's ridges and other things on the casts that are would be very difficult to fake.
I've been on expeditions and investigations to Indonesia some 8 times now. I've not personally seen one. I've been very close to one. I was with 4 people in the jungle and we heard a rustling noise in the jungle, and 2 of us split one way and 2 of us split the other. And the 2 guys that were there, they actually saw it. They described how the orang Pendak had pushed itself up against the tree and its eyes were like that, moving away. First of all, it tried to camouflage itself against the tree, and then as they were looking at it, it shot off very quickly.
Still, that's not enough for the skeptics.
I can understand that people might be skeptical about this. You can be skeptical. I am not presenting hypotheses without tangible scientific evidence. It's important that we have critical analysis.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that this gentleman has the largest collection of orang Pendak so-called track evidence of anyone in the world. I guess he's done more work in the field, so he's been able to collect more than any other person that I'm aware of. It's also interesting to note that the tracks that he collects sort of match each other. They have similar features. They're not just, misidentified other animal prints. And to me, that's very compelling. Why is he able to find similar prints of an unknown ape species in this area so often? And why does he have such a large collection of them and they somewhat anatomically match or very closely match each other?
And he's getting closer.
We found some hairs which were potentially from the orang Pendak. We looked at the hair structures, and what he did is compared the hair with all the known species that are indigenous to that particular area and some ones that aren't. He concluded it was from an unknown species. We were not able to extract DNA from those particular hair samples, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll be able to do that again in the future.
I'd be very interested in seeing a DNA study if they can get a hair and actually extract DNA evidence. I mean, if they could go through the DNA, if they could extract the DNA from a hair sample that's supposed to be from an orang Pendak, they should be able to compare it to all known ape species and to humans and see the differences in the genomes and chromosomes, etc.
Adam will not give up on the orang Pendak. He knows it's just one of the many creatures out there.
So far, we've got prints, we've got hair that's been looked at for the structure, but we haven't yet got significant quantities of DNA where we can analyze that properly. So what I'm after ideally is the DNA. I think that's the most important thing, and maybe some good visual shots as well. What I think I've done with my research and the research of competent others before me is to push the story forward.
Yeah, it seems to me that there is a real shortage of actual video or photographic evidence of this orang Pendak, whereas with the Bigfoot and Sasquatch and even Yeti and other, the skunk ape and other ape-man species, we have a lot more photographic, I'll say, alleged photographic evidence. A lot of it is hoaxed. However, there's a shortage. You won't find pictures of an orang Pendak that somebody took.
Very hopeful that one day I'll be involved in some way about proving these things' existence. I just have to keep my fingers crossed and hope I'm lucky.
Yeah, and I, for one, wish that gentleman the best of luck, because it's got to be sort of a fool's mission to go out there and try to find these things. People, have made fun of this gentleman, and yeah, it's a shame. But the guy's very passionate. I'll give him that, because I've seen him on many different documentaries. He sort of did a lecture tour or several lecture tours, at Bigfoot sort of conferences, and he sort of does that. Here's a weird lecture about a very strange subject, and you got to give the guy credit for actually going out there. I'm supposing at his own expense, looking for this thing, the orang Pendak. So I have one last clip to share, friends, and that would be the money shot. Some time ago, a video was posted on the internet, and the cryptozoology sort of community went crazy and very excited about this video, claiming that it was an orang Pendak. I'm unconvinced, but still, I thought it'd be very relevant to see what is perhaps what people claim is the best photographic film evidence of an orang Pendak. This clip is not very well known. I have not seen this clip many places, just really Bigfoot websites and places where people are very sort of plugged in to cryptid creatures have I seen this. And it's just interesting. This was posted on March 22nd, 2017, near as I can tell. Let me cue it up. And this is supposedly taken in Indonesia by some people who were biking. It's a really strange clip, but we're going to cite fair use. I'm not sure if it's copyrighted, but again, we're citing fair use. We're educating the public about this mysterious creature, the orang pendak. We'll be discussing the clip, and also I'm going to show some stills that I took from this film. I did some work on trying to take stills of the creature and zoom in and enhance it. I'm not an expert at that, but I did my best to see if I could show my viewers a little clearer image of the actual creature. It's very difficult to see in this, and it's very small in a huge frame, you know. But I wanted to do my due diligence to see if I could bring out a little more detail of the creature, to see if we could, see if we could really get to see the creature in more detail. So again, I'm going to cite fair use. This will be our last clip, but then I have one other piece to show you, which is the enhanced photo, and maybe we could take a look at the. I'm not sure it's going to work, but I have the video loaded into a video editor where we can look at this thing frame by frame. It's a very interesting film, and it's one of those, what did I just see? You know, you see some of these weird things on the internet and you go, what is it that I just saw? This is kind of strange. This is kind of crazy. So we're going to cite fair use. And this is from, I believe it's like a photographer in Indonesia called Fredography is who got. I'm not sure if he took it or if he got the footage from someone else and posted it. But again, we're going to cite fair use. We're educating the public about this mysterious creature. This is supposed to be a film of the actual orang pendak running into some, running away from these bikers and then running into some tall grass. So let's see the money shot, friends. Let's look at this. And it's titled very strangely, Habo Kajet Ada Orang Telajang di Hutan Asa, which I believe is Indonesian, but they definitely mention this is orang pendak. Yeah, so let's see the money shot, friends. This is the money shot. I'm going to play this uninterrupted. We're going to be able to dissect it a little more. And we see a creature running away. Somebody decides they're going to chase it. And there the creature ran into the woods, or ran into these tall grasses. And the rest of the clip is the rest of the bikers arriving, and they go looking for this thing, and they do not find anything. I'm going to play this whole clip one more time. Again, fair use. We're educating the public about this orang pendak, this mysterious creature. Here it is running away, and it's interesting to note it's carrying a spear. And again, this gentleman decides he's going to go chase it. And here we have it, friends. Is this the legendary and mysterious orang pendak? And here again, they're going to go into the reeds here and look for this creature, but they don't find anything. Very interesting clip. I wanted to see if I could isolate the creature. I'm not an expert at this, but I tried my best. I'm not quite sure if this is going to work, but we're going to try. And no, it's not letting me share an image viewer. Not sure why. I have an image viewer here. All right, well, what we're going to do is Instead, we're going to share my video editor if it lets me. And there we go. And here we can see perhaps I can. Okay. So here we can go and look at this frame by frame. And again, it's difficult to see the creature. The sun is in the foreground there in the front. It's somewhat obscuring the creature, which gives me pause, because if you're going to fake something, you definitely want to obscure the view of it. And here, as he turns the corner, again, I'm just advancing this frame by frame so that maybe we can get a better look at the creature. As he turns the corner, we get maybe the best look at it. And again, it looks like a little creature running away. Now, I know one way that we could we're going to zoom in on this. And again, the creature's going to run, and then it goes into these tall grass. And I want you to take particular note of something. When it goes into the grass, it appears that the grass does not move at all, which that's problematic for me. Again, I'll back that up. We see when the creature goes into the grass, there appears to be no movement of the grass. It just disappears right into the grass that's there. That, to me, screams CGI or digitally created. And there's some other indicators that may indeed be the case. Yeah. Stop sharing. There we go. There's one other way that I can try to play these. I'm going to get into my mail. I sent myself, for some reason, StreamYard does not like you sharing some apps. It just won't let you. So knowing that, I took the time to email myself this so we could at least look at it from a browser tab. StreamYard has no problem sharing browser tabs, so let's share browser tab. One second. Make sure I'm getting the right one. Rank Pendak Zoom screenshots. Here we are. And, I did the best I could. Basically, I took there's not many pixels in this video. It's not very high quality. So I took some shots and zoomed in and then tried to alter the contrast so that, we could get a better view of the actual creature that we see in there. And here is one of those shots. I'm not quite sure how well you can see this. Let's try to zoom in. There we are. There's really no definition to the creature, which again gives me, and here we see the spear. It's a creature of some kind running with a spear. It looks to me like it has a loincloth on, which seems funny to me. An ape would not be wearing, an unknown species of ape would most likely not be wearing a loincloth. At least I don't think so. It looks to me like a person, a small person, or maybe a child, but it doesn't look like a furry ape to me. And here's another shot. Again, we see the spear. And here is a shot of it going into, that one's kind of really difficult to see. So that's really no help. So it may be that my own, skills at doing this sort of thing are really lacking. It's been a while since I've tried to do something like this. Given a little more time, I was rushing today to try to, bring out more detail in the creature. I would, if I had to guess, I would say that this was done with CGI. There's no definition in the creature. The shadows and the lighting seem to be off to me. It does not appear to be you know, and it appears to me that it's like purposefully done to obscure the view, purposefully done to obscure the view of the person watching, you know, and that is a hallmark of a hoax. Usually, that is a hallmark of a hoax. So, friends, this will conclude my short presentation on orang pendak. I want to know what you think. Is the orang pendak a real, actual, living, breathing creature, an undiscovered man-like ape in Indonesia and Sumatra? Is it simply a misidentified orangutan? Or is it perhaps something in between? Could it be an unknown species of orangutan? As far as this video that's purported to be an orang pendak, that I don't buy. That I just simply don't buy. It looks very CG to me. Yeah, so we're going to take some questions and comments from the live chat. I will turn my full attention to the live chat. Let's see. Looks human to me. Yes, Casey. That in that video, it looks human to me. Professor Fez says it needs Benny Hill music. That might help. That might have helped, Professor Fez, and welcome. I'm glad that you found us here in the live chat. Professor Fez made me feel much better today because instead of getting slammed all day with nasty comments, Professor Fez and a few others today have been leaving very supportive comments on our YouTube channel, which was nice to see today for a change of pace. Thank you, Professor Fez. Much appreciated. And he presented some great information in the YouTube comments. Rick von Himmlich-Spooner. When it turns the corner, are the shadows consistent with before it turned? No, that's what I said. There's a problem with the shadows, with the lighting. It's like the same through the whole thing. It didn't look like the subject being photographed was properly casting shadows in that bright sun behind it, in front of it. There would be shadows. And I looked at this for an hour today, at least, trying to, what was my best guess? And my best guess, having had some experience with computer-generated graphics and creature effects, CGI creatures, is that somebody did the footage of these motorcycle people and then added that in post. That's what it appears to be for me. Casey Palermo, you did well from my view. Thank you very much, Casey. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Roy Sinclair says he agrees. Jonaside thinks most likely a subspecies of orangutan. Yeah, I was surprised to find that we have this Tapanuli orangutan was discovered as recently as 2000, well, really confirmed in 2017 when they did the DNA studies and studied some corpses of this new type of orangutan. So could orang pendak be simply a new type of undiscovered orangutan? I think that's a very likely explanation and could also explain why so many people are seeing this thing. Orangus Arceus carpius. Yeah, it could be. KB, would that monkey pump his arms up and down in a human running form? I thought monkeys ran with their arms flailing around. Yeah, maybe. That's another good point. I did not think of that. Roy Sinclair says it's crude CGI. I tend to agree with you, Mr. Sinclair. And welcome. I'm not sure that I've seen you here before. If you like strange and mysterious stories and content like this, then you found a good place. Welcome to our little spot on the internet. I hope that you will subscribe, and I welcome you. I hope that we will see you again. Professor Fez says, cheers, the pleasure is all yours. A truly life-changing moment for you. Yes, absolutely. So, today I intended to be a short show. I really apologize for those technical errors at the start. What we're going to do is I'll take this video and I will fix the beginning somehow, and we will re-upload it so that we can just kind of move along. Now I have one more thing to add to my checklist, which is to always check that the audio levels are correct before starting the show. So for about 10 minutes, I was, in the beginning of the broadcast, I was talking to myself, and people were calling me on our call-in line, which I was complaining about. Why is everybody calling on the call-in line? Thank you very much for trying to alert me of those technical issues. I didn't realize that there was my mic was dead. And so, yeah, I talked for 10 minutes in the beginning of this video with no audio. So I apologize for that. Again, this is a live show. These things happen. You got to roll with the punches. I'm sure that I can fix this. We can just take the video. I will put a new intro on it, and we will start from where I said, hey, we'll start over. May have missed a few things that I can sort of cut in there and fix, and that's not a problem. But thank you for those who cared enough to try to help me, not talk to myself in silence for 10 minutes. Much appreciated. Keith, I'm sorry, Heismeyer said, I thought the same thing about the loincloth. Yeah, it's very clear that it has some kind of loincloth on itself. So I'm not buying that video being an orang pendak, not one bit, or any kind of ape. It looks to me like either a child or more likely CGI because of the lack of detail. It looks like a quick render to me. It looks like an incomplete, somebody didn't put a lot of detail in it. And usually when that's done, when they purposefully do not include a lot of detail in a video, the creature is obscured, kind of blurry, hard to see. There's a reason for that, and that is a hoax. KB comments, humans have learned to pump their arms because it makes them faster. Humans don't need to be faster except for a foot race. Monkeys don't need to pump their arms to race. Interesting. Out of mind. It's all good. Yeah, thank you for trying to save me there, out of mind. And I'm sorry I was complaining. I'm like, why is everybody calling in on the call-in line? I didn't open the lines, and it kept beeping and beeping and beeping. Finally, thanks to my wife, she came in and she said, there's no audio, dummy. And I went, oh my God. That's why everybody's calling. So thank you guys. And also, Edmine says, hi, Roy. Genocide says, ship happens. Yeah, absolutely. Things like this are just going to happen. It's a live show. Luckily, I was, thank you guys for indulging me. I was able to we'll just start again from the beginning of the presentation, more or less. Luckily, I didn't go for an hour talking with nobody hearing me. We'll fix it. It's not a big deal. It's just one more thing on my to-do list for tomorrow, however, and I had a lot planned already. But I'll do that first and fix the show and upload it, and then we'll go from there. Not a big deal. So it's important, too, that I just mentioned we do have some business to get out of the way. There's two things that I think are important, milestones, really, and you need to be able to celebrate little milestones, and I want to acknowledge and be sure that we definitely acknowledge those little victories, right? Because those little victories are important to acknowledge and to recognize. So let me see if I can do this. Yeah, here we go. I posted this on my Twitter earlier. We reached a milestone, I think, on Sunday, and that is that we as a show have now passed over 10,000 views. And I want to thank our Patreon supporters, donors, and friends. Already passed 10,000 shows. And Daniel Hogan's commenting, looking for a free magic show. I'm not sure, Daniel Hogan. Maybe I'll wait till we do 100,000 views. If we get to 100,000 views, I promise you, Daniel Hogan, I will do a magic show right here on this show. Navmaz says, great news. Yeah, so it's really nice that we have passed over 10,000 views. I was happy to see that. And then actually I realized that we probably passed over 10,000 views last week because there's 30 shows and every one of the Facebook streams gets over 100 or 150 views. So we're actually way behind. We probably passed 10,000 views a week or two ago, but these are the YouTube views are over 10,000 views. I think 10.5 or 10.7 the last I looked. Don't quote me on that. And then one other piece of business, I have to thank a viewer, but they do not want me to mention their name or reveal their identity, or they don't want credit for helping me. But I'm still going to thank them. We'll call them Lawyer X. There is an attorney who happens to do copyright law who watches my show and said, hey, if you have problems with copyrights and copyright strikes, these big corporations try to bully you, it would be good if you could take some help from me. I can give you a form letter when you have to file disputes that's very, very effective. And so again, that's another thing I just want to recognize and celebrate, because especially the large media corporations, they basically can file, you can use a 1 minute or 2 minute clip, and they can bully you and copyright strike you and have your video taken down or unviewable in certain countries, or they can slap ads all over my show and they're going to get the revenue from it, which I don't believe is fair. I always cite fair use, but some of these companies don't care if you cite fair use, and they try to bully YouTube into getting their way. This indeed happened with our last show from, I believe, last Thursday on the show that we did on Vimanas. In that show, I used 2 clips from A&E Networks, which owns the History Channel, and the show Ancient Aliens, which the clips were taken from. They nearly immediately after the video was posted filed a copyright claim and had my video taken down in this huge list of countries. Not in the United States, strangely, but in like 100 other countries, people couldn't see the video. I reached out to this copyright attorney who is a viewer and supporter of ours and doesn't want to be named, and they helped me file a copyright claim dispute citing fair use. They gave me a really well-written legal letter, which sort of pushes these large corporations into a corner that they have to allow fair use. That's the law. So they gave me this form letter, and I could sort of fill in the blanks. We used literally a 2-minute clip and a 3-minute clip, and we stopped it every once in a while, and I talked along those clips. So it's a transformative work, number one. And number two is fair use. But the good news is, and I really believe it's thanks to this kind viewer who helped me, we were able to win the dispute. And YouTube sent us this, let's see, YouTube sent us this notice. Hi, Truthseekers, good news. After reviewing your dispute, A&E Networks has decided to release their copyright claim on your YouTube video. And that was for Truthseekers episode 30, The Mystery of Vimanas, Flying Machines in the Vaimanika Shastra. And friends, I just want to mention, let me do this so that maybe we could see it a little better. Wait a minute, here we go. That's better. So I just want to make sure that I mention that this A&E network funds Ancient Aliens. They profit from Ancient Aliens, who play very fast and loose with the facts. They just make up facts. They're not accurate facts. They sure as hell don't jive with actual real historical history or historical facts and evidence. They make things up. Ancient Aliens just makes up things like, hey, this was from a 6,000-year-old Vedic text, and there's no such thing as a 6,000-year-old Vedic text. They don't exist. So I think it's very important that we be allowed to inform the public. You know, it's not fair for them to copyright strike me when I'm trying to educate the public, especially when we've got them dead to rights lying and we can prove it. So luckily, we were able to dispute the copyright claim, and A&E Networks has decided to release the copyright claim. I believe that if they decided to not release it, then YouTube would have had to make the ultimate decision. And I'm informed from this copyright attorney that YouTube more than likely would have sided with us, but it's easier that A&E Network's lawyers reviewed our dispute, and since it was written very well in a legalese manner, we win. So that's another little milestone. I have said it previously, and I'm going to say it again to anyone. We reserve the right to use clips from anything, as long as we are doing it in the legal way with fair use and fair use law. The laws concerning fair use are very clear. If I take a few minute clip from something and I'm using it to educate the public, discussing it, critiquing it, we're allowed to use a copyrighted clip. And I'm thankful, especially in this case. We used clips where Ancient Aliens, the television show, was straight lying to the public, making up facts that don't exist, saying there was 6,000 years old Vedic texts that don't exist when it was from a book from 1952. We should be allowed to tell people the truth about that. We should be allowed to use a clip to show them lying and then catch them lying and show people the actual truth. And thankfully, thanks to a kind viewer who helped me with writing these disputes, we were able to do that. So thank you, mystery lawyer who does not want to be named. And so, friends, I'll turn my attention back to the live chat. Keith Meyer says that letter from YouTube is probably a canned letter from them. Yeah, I don't get to see what they actually said. I just know that they told YouTube, okay, we'll release our copyright claim on this particular work. Genocide says, awesome, you got that taken care of. Yes, awesome. Rich Sinclair says, well done. And Out of Mind says, congrats, Stephen, winning. Yeah, I'm not sure how much more winning I can take out of Mind. Yeah. Yeah, it's just good that look, especially if we catch them lying through their teeth. We should be able to show the clip of them lying through their teeth and then show people why they're lying through their teeth. I feel very strongly about that. And it's very cowardly of them to try to stop people from doing that. Luckily, they, were backed right up once they got the letter from me, which I have to say I'm proud of because it's just incredibly well written, 2-page legal letter, citing all the reasons why we are allowed to use that clip. So it's just good that we're able to do that. And there is, I suppose, a final bit of business. I mentioned that we are going to start giving gifts away for people who are making donations. And I mentioned that my spiritual practice has taken me back to my childhood. I grew up Catholic. And the nuns in Catholic school would often take us to a chapel or even to the big church and make us as a class kneel and pray the rosary. And I have not been Catholic for some time, but I'm returning to some spiritual practice. So I've begun to again pray the rosary. I find this to be very meditative and comforting. Maybe it's the nostalgia of it. Maybe it is the senses, more senses being engaged while you're praying because you're holding the beads, you keep moving on the beads. It's very meditative, and I find it to be a thing of comfort, especially now when we all need comfort. And I wanted to thank many of the people who are donating. So going forward, from now on, if somebody makes a $20 or better donation, I have rosaries. So if you make a donation, there is a PayPal donate button on our About page. If you make a donation, we're going to be giving these very nice rosaries, which I am using myself. These are not plastic. These are wooden. I believe they're handmade, but I can't be sure. Very nice rosaries with wooden beads. And I'm not sure it's not metal. It's some sort of string or rope. I think it's cotton, but they feel very nice in your hands. And I have begun to use these again. There's a very nice Jesus on these, crucifix. And if you need a guide, I'll be including a 1-sheet guide as a present for those who are making a donation to our Truthseekers show here. we'll be giving you one of these. So if you make a donation, put your address, your shipping address in the note line. And I'm going to ask, I guess, for a donation of $20 or more, you get this free gift. We're going to have some other free gifts. I'm waiting for some things to come. Somebody mentioned mood rings. Yeah, I got mood rings on the way, but they're coming from China and it's taking forever. Those mood rings will be for like a $10 donation. I don't know. And then I'm working very hard on these other gifts, which would be we're going to have replica Element 115 triangles that glow in the dark. Can't beat that. So if you make a donation, I don't know, that's going to be a little more because I have to hand make those. But they came out great. We're still working on them. I'll have some to show in the next couple of days. And as far as the rosaries, actually we have two different kinds due to a mix-up trying to get good quality rosaries. I have these that I showed. These are the wooden ones, which are very, very nice. These, it's my personal preference. I don't know why. I think because they're made from wood, which is a natural material, and maybe the string between the beads is cotton, and again, that's a natural material. I just prefer these. But we have these other type of rosaries, and these come with a Blessed Mary case. So these come in a case. I guess too, if you do make a $20 or better donation, you can just let me know if you want the wood rosary or the rosary with a case. And these are very nice too. I think these are equally nice. It's just my personal preference. And these, I believe, are wood beads, and they have metal chain between them. And this one has, in this part, it has, oh, you can't see that. It has the Blessed Mother. No, here, we're going to try to get, let's see if we can't. See if we can't raise that. Well, let me check my mic again because I just jabbed the thing. Check one. Okay, good. I'm trying to not have any more big issues. Oh, wait, here we go. We'll get that light a little better. There we go. So these have a sigil of the Blessed Mother. Oh, I keep showing it backwards here. There's the Blessed Mother on here. And this is smaller, but equally nice Jesus on the crucifix. And again, it's a standard rosary, a little different than the other ones. But if you prefer one with a case, again, we'll be giving these away as well. And maybe if I run out of the wood ones, you're going to have to accept this one. I hope everybody doesn't mind. And they come with this really nice case with the Blessed Mother on the case. It's nice to keep it in. I wish I had cases for the wood ones. I prefer the wood ones. So for anyone who's interested in helping our show, you get a free gift from me in the form of a rosary. And we have a very good question here from KelTruth77. Do you have to be Catholic to use a rosary? I think you better ask a priest. I'm not an expert. I will say this. I'm a recovering Catholic. I use it. I find it very comforting. In fact, I find it to be one of the most comforting spiritual practices that I have lately. There's something about the meditative practice of praying and going down those beads, feeling the beads in your hand. It sort of helps me at least to focus. I don't think God would fault anyone for not being Catholic and praying the rosary, nor would Jesus or the Blessed Mother. So actually, KelTruth, I'm going to say no. You don't have to be Catholic to use a rosary. I find it to be very beneficial for my spiritual practice. Professor Fez says, whatever helps you. Yeah, people sometimes ask me about my religion, and generally I say I'm a Buddhist and also a Christian, and that being a Buddhist has made me a better Christian, and being a Christian has made me a better Buddhist. Those are my major two things. However, I like to say that I am also a fan of Bruce Lee, and I agree with the Jeet Kune Do philosophy, which is to take what works and discard the rest. So I'm no longer Catholic, I'm Christian now. And most Protestant Christians do not pray a rosary, but I do, and I don't think that any Christian minister that I know would fault me for doing that. Um, yeah, I think it's a very beneficial thing. There's something about it. It's very meditative to have those beads in your hand. And I don't know why, but I noticed I kind of rock while I'm praying. It helps me to focus. And I have these beads in my hand, which guides the prayers. And there's a list of prayers. Um, Mostly it's the Our Father, and mostly it's Hail Marys that you're saying. You say the 10. I'm going to include a guide for how to pray the rosary, and there's guides online. If you're not familiar with how to pray the rosary, it's very easy to learn. You can learn in just a few minutes and be off and praying the rosary. Let me see. Jean Claude is here, and Jean Claude from Beyond Mystic says, "I want an Element 115." You know what, Jean Claude? I will send you one as a gift, and you don't have to donate anything because you're a poor, struggling artist and show host like me. So you get a free one. As soon as they're done, you'll get one of the first ones. I promise. KB almost made a very ugly joke about beads and David Wilcock. Yeah, these are not those kind of beads. These are much better. And I don't know. Like I went looking for rosaries, and it's funny. I found those rosaries that they gave me as a child, which I always hated because it was like real cheap string and plastic beads, and they were real cheap. And there's something weird to me about having what is supposed to be a holy item, a prayer item, an item that helps you pray, made of plastic. I don't like the artificial materials. I found these, the wood ones, which are my favorite so far, because it's all natural materials. But there's something about this being made of wood, and this reminds me of Franciscan priests. There's an order, the Franciscan order of Catholic priests. They always had rosaries like this. So again, this sort of comforting to me. It reminds me of my childhood. Those Franciscan priests were often the most dedicated and sort of fire and brimstone, scary, but still, they were recognized when I was a child by all of us kids as being sort of more priestly of a priest than the regular priests, who wore the black, they wore the brown robes. It's just a different order of priests, but yeah, I don't know why, but they always had a wood rosary like this, and they would keep it at their belt, I believe, like right at their belt. They would keep it so you could see, and it sort of matched their robes. And this one may be related to that. I'm really not sure, but that's one of my favorite things right now. Listen, it is a very trying time right now, and everybody's looking for something to sort of ground them, to comfort them, to make them feel better. I don't know why, but going back to praying the rosaries has made me feel better. And I think it might help anyone really looking for some form of comfort or spiritual practice. Kel Truth says, "My life has been extremely stressful lately, and I really need an outlet. Prayer kind of sounds like a good option. I tried edibles, and all that did was make me hungry and tired." Yeah, I don't know. I think that, like I said, if you give it a try, it might make you feel better. It certainly has made me feel better. KB says, "No, Keith, will be respectful to religions." Yeah. Has what Professor Fez has Wilcock been messing with beads? The wrong kind, that is. Yes. You have to see my David Wilcock $10,000 challenge. There's parts 1 and 2, Professor Fez. And you're late to the party, but I'm so glad you're here. I got to say, Professor Fez posted all of this incredible research about gray aliens and some other things on our channel today, which I'm happy to see. And I may be using some of that in our upcoming show we're going to do a whole show on the mystery of the gray aliens. Why is everybody seeing these aliens and they're all alike? It's always been strange to me. Roy Sinclair says, "Rosary envy." Yeah, these are nice. I really look high and low to find really nice ones. And as far as the Bob Lazar Element 115 gifts that we'll be giving out for anybody that makes a donation, Those are going to be done soon. And the funny thing about that is that the actual glow-in-the-dark paint that I'm using to make those came from Bob Lazar's business. Bob Lazar, as much as I beat him up and think he's a fraud fairy tale huckster telling his flying saucer stories, his business happens to sell the best glow-in-the-dark paint anywhere. It's probably twice or three times brighter than any other glow-in-the-dark paint you'll get. I don't know how he does that, where he gets it, but and it's also interesting to note that in the magic and special effects industry, it's well known that the best glow-in-the-dark paint comes from United Nuclear. Take from that what you will, but I think it's funny that I'm going to be making Element 115 replicas with glow-in-the-dark paint from his business. It's funny. KB says, because wood is from the earth, anything earthly brings peace to most. Yeah, I'm learning that at my cabin. Vanya says, I don't want the rosary, I want rosemary. I don't know. How I would get you some rosemary, Vanya. I don't even know where to get that. Roy Sinclair, any response from Dolan after you ripped him to shreds, Stephen? Zero. Absolutely zero. I'm not, he's a big fish, and I'm a little fish in a big pond, and he's a big fish in a little pond. So I don't think that he feels any responsibility to answer his critics. But as far as Mr. Dolan goes, it's going to get worse for him because I'm doing a deep dive on these Wilson documents, and when I'm done, Mr. Dolan, you're going to look like an even bigger ass clown when I do my show on the Wilson documents and how fake they are. It's not going to go well for you, and you keep posting this shit, keep monetizing more and more videos about these Wilson documents. It's very disrespectful for him to do that because he's basically calling an admiral, a United States admiral, a liar, which is ridiculous. So we've got an awful lot of stuff about the Wilson documents and some research into Eric Davis in particular that people are going to find interesting. I think that it's not going to go well for Mr. Dolan. He should just apologize to Admiral Wilson and move on. If he doubles down, he's going to regret it because I'm not even done yet. I got another week's worth of work to do. I got to listen to his 5-hour streams one more time. I listened to the one 5-hour stream where he's trying to convince everybody why they're not fake. Listen, if it takes you 5 hours to convince people why something's not fake, it's fake. Okay, Mr. Dolan? If you can't convince me that it's not fake in 20 minutes, then it's fake. Grasping at straws for 5 hours in a monetized stream where you're making money off of yet another hoax, Mr. Dolan, it's not going to go well for you. This is not going to go well for you. I mentioned our chess game. I've only had the opening move. And already people's eyes are opening and people are starting to realize that you sell fairy tales. You're no better than any of the other fairy tale hucksters. What are you going to do? Professor Fez, can you confirm that you are a clone of Jeremy the alien scientist and Christopher Walken? I kind of resemble. I would take that. Yeah. Jeremy Rice is a decent looking guy. I don't mind being compared to him. And Christopher Walken, that would be kind of a strange mix, right? Vanessa Thor is here. He might challenge you to a fight like he did CW, Brooklyn style. Yeah, well, Mr. Dolan, you might have grown up in Brooklyn, but I grew up on the mean streets of Philadelphia. Kensington, in fact. Look it up. That's where I grew up. You don't want to fight me. But that would be funny. If he wanted to do it for charity, I would do it. I would totally do it. We could do a cage fight, Richard Dolan, me and you. Give all the money to like a veteran's home or charity. I'll do it. Come on, Richard Dolan. Tough guy. Professor Fez, late to this party, but been on the rodeo for years. I can tell that because of your comments, Mr. Fez, Professor Fez. I can tell that you've been in this rodeo for years based on the depth of your knowledge and research that you already posted today. And I was really thankful to see that. Friends, I've been getting pretty discouraged because people are posting real nasty stuff, and I have to read it or reply to it. But today was nice because Professor Fez and a few other people were posting very supportive comments. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Vanessa Thor, thank you, Stephen. That is my opinion as well. I'm not comfortable listening to Dolan anymore because he's calling Admiral Wilson a liar. Yeah, I think it's incredibly disrespectful of him to go off and try to make money off this story, continue to try to make money off this story, even after the person mentioned in the document said, quote, "This is a work of fiction," unquote. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And, it says a lot about his character. The Admiral says it's a work of fiction. He won't let it go. You know why he won't let it go? Because he looks like an asshole now. If he just apologizes and lets it go, he's going to look like an asshole because he called it the UFO leak of the century. Really, Mr. Dolan? A hoax that the Admiral mentioned in those documents says is a work of fiction is the UFO leak of the century? Maybe it is, because that's the best evidence that you have. Flimsy bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not real. Richard Dolan, wake up. Maybe your remote viewing wife can go back in time and prove to you that that's fake. It's a shame he used to be a breath of fresh air. I agree. I used to be a big fan of his. No longer a big fan of his. I just, no. I'm sorry, friends. I'm way behind. I'm way behind. PBR Street Gang, good. I want to hear your expose of the Eric Davis notes and Dolan lies. Wait for it, PBR Street Gang. It's going to be a barn. It's going to be a barn burner. It is going to be good. I found stuff that I've never seen anybody find. I found a lot of stuff on Eric Davis that is just gold, absolute gold, and people are contributing more to me. Remember, it is not PBR Street Gang. If anybody has any good stuff on either Eric Davis or these Wilson documents, the truth, though, you can email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. It's a collective effort here, and people are contributing all kinds of good stuff that would indicate that Richard Dolan is way off in fairy tale land pushing these things. If Dolan is full of it, what does that say about Dark Journalist? I always liked him, but he does take Dolan very seriously. I think that Dark Journalist is still on the fan train for him, and God bless him. I got off the Richard Dolan fan train. Professor Fez, yeah, that's one of the data points. Professor Fez gave me an incredible data point, and I can't wait to share it with you all. It is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Some of the claims that Eric Davis has made can easily be shown to be absolute fairy tale bullshit nonsense. And thank you very much for that, Professor Fez. If you have more on Mr. Davis, please do email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. I would much appreciate your help and assistance. Based on what I've seen, you have some great stuff to share, and I would be happy to include it and credit you for your excellent assistance. Dildo sword fight. Uh-oh. Oh my God, it's Edgar Casey in the Twitch chat. MSMC91. I believe we've seen you here before. I'm glad to see you back here. Great. We have Paranormal Jiggy says, have a dance off. I can't dance, Jiggy. I'm a white dude. I just can't dance. I remember, it was funny, like going to those dances when you were a kid. I went because I was interested in girls, and it was a good opportunity to try to meet girls. I only did the slow dances. That's all I could do. Couldn't dance, not even those electric slide or any of that shit. Couldn't do any of it. I'm just too terrible of a white guy. Can't dance. So Paranormal Jiggy, you've heard white men can't jump. It's true. We can't jump. I'm 6'4". I can't dunk. Can't dunk. I just fixed the basketball court at the campground, the cabin. I'm going to try to dunk again. It's an unfulfilled wish of my life to be able to dunk. Could never do it. And I'm 6'4". 6'5" with good sneakers on. Still can't dunk. And I certainly cannot dance. Okay. Everybody's saying hello to Jiggy. Yeah, welcome Jiggy from Paranormal Hood. To be fair, yeah, okay, Roy, you want to play the devil's advocate? I'll give you that. It's hardly beyond the realms of possibility for Wilson to be lying. Yes. But if it was only Admiral Wilson was the only data point that I'm going to present, if that's all I had was Wilson saying these were a work of fiction, I wouldn't be so adamant that those are fake. There are going to be a treasure trove of data points to smack over the head of idiot Richard Dolan. I'm going to smack him down like he's never been smacked down before, and everyone's going to hear about it. Everybody's going to see all these data points and know that he's just out there selling fairy tales. So go ahead, Richard Dolan, keep selling your fairy tales. If it was just Admiral Wilson saying it was fiction, I'd let it go. I'd say, yeah, maybe he's lying. The documents even say, if he's ever asked about, that's convenient, the documents say, if I'm ever asked about this, I will deny this meeting ever happened. That's convenient. Eric the Weasel Davis. Oh yeah, you have no idea some of the things that I found about him, Vanessa Thor. It's going to be a fun night. I'm gonna, you know what? And I'm gonna do something that I don't usually do. I'm going to set a date for it very soon. I want to get a little further through the research that I have to do. And if you guys that have been following me for a long time thought that I presented a hell of a lot of data and proof on something like the Pete Peterson investigation, this is going to make that look like, grade school research. I've done a good job, but I'm still hungry. I want to continue to look no stone uncovered. We are going to look everywhere. We're going to find every bit of evidence that we can, and we're going to present it all. And then Richard Dolan is once again going to have to choose to either ignore me or respond. More Davis bullshit. Yes, PBR Street Gang. He seems to be filled with it. Oh, I'm Mario Heat. Okay. All right, Mario Heat. Well, it's good that you're in the Twitch chat, holding that down, probably by yourself over there. Sorry if you're feeling lonely. We're still trying to get the Twitch chat going. If you guys don't already have a Twitch account, please sign up and just follow Truthseekers Show. It's twitch.tv/Truthseekers Show. Professor Fez, it took me 2 minutes and Dolan couldn't find it in 20 years. Boulder Dash. Yeah, you win, Professor Fez. That was an excellent find. I love watching bad dancers dance. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, I like some of those people that can't dance worth a shit that go on Ellen and are forced to for a few minutes. It's funny. Yes, PBR. I don't want to tip my hat, but I have more. There's more substantial proof that proves that not only was he not in Las Vegas, he couldn't have been. He couldn't have been during those dates. He could not have been, and we may get to see some of that coming up. Roy, I considered that, but I have to remain silent on the docs until after he retired, and only Davis financially, personally benefits by fudging. Even if Wilson is the liar, I'm not comfortable accusing him. No, it's not really right to accuse him of that because he's a United States admiral. He deserves at least a little bit of respect. Mario Heat says, yep, holding down the fort with Edgar Casey. And, but Jonaside has joined you over in the Twitch chat, and he says, hi, Mario Heat. Vanessa Thor is talking about Eric Davis and says, doesn't he look like a weasel, PBR? A cute weasel. Cute and spazzy. Yeah. He does indeed, Vanessa. Who would believe Davis? Well, I think after you see some of the data that I've dug up on Mr. Davis, even fewer people will believe him. And again, it's always tied somehow to Hal Puthoff. There's a lot of connections there, Hal Puthoff and TTSA. They're always hyping this stuff up and trying to profit from it. And they never get to the port. They never get to the part where they show us the goods, the proof. Never. And they never will. So, it is what it is, friends. I know I have a lot of work ahead of me. I joked before that if you're going to try to take down a giant, make sure you bring a lot of really big rocks with you. And I'm going to be bringing every rock that I can find with me to show people the truth behind these documents and how these idiot UFO profiteers continue to try to profit from fake stories. It's fake stories. And listen, I will say at the very best, these Wilson documents will go down exactly like the MJ-12 documents will go down. People are going to argue about them for 10 years, and no one will ever really definitively prove or disprove them. There are some of the Wilson or some of the MJ12 documents are absolutely proven to be fake and fabrications, but the originals, there are still people who believe that those are real. Or the cop out, they're based on real information, but they're not real documents. Yeah. Somehow it seems that way more people believe the weasel over the admiral. Yeah. Professor Fez says that he looks like Morn from Deep Space Nine. Brad Gray, so Admiral Wilson definitely denied the docs. Yes, Brad Gray, he said that they are, quote, a work of fiction, unquote. I'd really like to present some of the stuff that John Greenwald over at the Black Vault found, which was really funny in that the Wilson documents are written in screenplay format. How convenient. They were written in screenplay format. And, you know, it's really interesting to me that, you know, what Richard Dolan keeps saying that he was first shown a page of these documents in 2006, but he can't tell us who showed him those documents because he promised them that he wouldn't reveal their, you know, identity. And then he brings on, what is it? Mr. X is his excellent source that comes on with him and for 5 hours tries to, you know, prove to everyone why they're real. And the evidence is so weak, they're just connecting all kinds of dots that don't really, you know, just connect the dots, you know. It's really sad. It's really sad that that's what he's gotten to. I thought Wilson told Davis he would deny any knowledge of it if it became public. Yeah, but did Wilson really say that? Or did someone who was writing these Wilson documents say he said that? You know, we don't know. Yes, PBR Street Gang. So we all believe in the BS in Davis notes, but don't believe Admiral Wilson when he says they are fiction. Yeah. PBR Street Gang. Mr. X, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's the quality of Richard Dolan. You know, oh, and he gave some explanation. Well, you know, he wants to remain anonymous, you know, because people are nasty. Yeah, okay. In this all community, it seems to me more people believe the weasel over Admiral, that is, with help from Dolan and TTSA PR. Yes. I wonder if Mr. X is David Wilcock. He is the insider's insider. No, completely different voice, diction, and manner of speaking. Couldn't be Mr. Wilcock. He's too busy. Everybody knows that Mr. Wilcock doesn't have time to do a 5-hour stream with Richard Dolan because he's too busy every day looking for my huge box of dildos, Keltruth. And by the way, today, let's just do a check, is August 17th. I originally buried the huge box of dildos for him on July 1st, 2020. So that means he had the 31 days in July. David Wilcock was unable to locate that huge box of dildos. And so far, we are up to 17 days of August. So he's had 31, 41, like 48, 49 days now. David Wilcock has had to find the big, huge box of dildos. So far, he has not found the big, huge box of dildos. There are about 15 single dildos buried all over the world. There's one in Japan, there's one in China, there's one in South America, there's several in North America, there's several in Canada, there's one in England even. I believe there's one in Scotland now. He's been unable to find any of the dildos. There's several in different spots in Europe. He's been unable to find any of the single dildos or the big, huge grand prize box of dildos for 48 or 49 days now. Yes, Professor Fez, I wouldn't waste my staff's time to go looking. Wilson said that in 2004. But people still keep citing him as some guy that was interested and went trying to find the UFO truth. And even he said, I wouldn't waste my staff's time to go looking. That was Admiral Wilson in 2004. Yeah, this is why he's doubled down and he can't just admit that he was wrong because he's going to look like an asshole. But he's going to look like a bigger asshole if he keeps doubling down on this shit. Dolan announced the document. He started by saying, this is it, folks. This is disclosure. Wrong. Roy Sinclair, Mr. X is English. I don't believe so. He sounded southern, somewhat southern to me, southern United States, but I could be wrong. Yes, because if you were lying about a public figure's quote, the best way to cover your bases is to include that they will deny. Mm-hmm. It gives you an out, right? Mr. X is probably the paranormal lawyer who hosts SOR on Sundays. PBR Street Gang, please email me or post in the live chat the link to that show if you could, because I'd like to compare their voices. Maybe we can get to the bottom of who Mr. X is. Wouldn't that be fun? And we can take that bullshit anonymous source away from Richard Dolan. Mr. X is Tim McMillan. I got to hear Tim McMillan's voice now, and maybe I'll be able to tell. I'm very good with, I spent a lifetime as a musician. I'm very, very good with audio and matching voices. So we might be able to determine who Mr. X actually is. And that would be good. That would be a good thing to include. Okay, Bleach Sauce says, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are so stupid, can't even vote on either and feel good about it. What do you think about this? And welcome, Bleach. Is it Bleach Sauce in the actual Twitch chat? Welcome. I believe you are a new participant. I have not seen you here before. Welcome. I'm glad that you found us. Here's what I'll say about politics. It's a quote from George Carlin. They call it the American dream because you have to be sleeping to believe it. I think that our country is a joke. It's not what they taught us in school. It's one big corporation-controlled shit show. And I, for one, choose to not participate. I refuse to choose the lesser of two evils. Both of these people are incredibly flawed candidates. And if that is the best that we have in our country to lead us, that says a lot about how shitty our country actually is. And I won't be voting this time around. I'm just not going to participate. Vanessa Thor says, someday many people are going to discover dildos across the globe and think it's some satanic sex ritual. Maybe, yeah. Where is the evidence for a large ape? We would have found it already, right? Well, Bleach Sauce, if you rewind and go through the presentation I presented tonight, we found that as recently as 2017, an entirely new species of orangutan was discovered in a significant population. So there's still large apes being discovered even as recently as 2017. There's also the bilby ape, which is the giant chimpanzees that were discovered maybe 10 or 15, I think 10 or so years ago, which is a subspecies of chimpanzees that were never known to exist up until about 10 years ago. So believe it or not, large primates are still being discovered that were previously unknown, which means that things like Bigfoot, Yeti, the Florida skunk ape, and the orang Pendak, tonight's show subject, may still be discovered. They may be real for all we know. Roy Sinclair, should be easy comparing voices. It's harder than you think, but I'm willing to give it a go if we can get some likely candidates. So if people know who we've heard that it's a lawyer that hosts a show, paranormal lawyer that hosts a show. We've heard it maybe Tim McMillan. We're going to see if we can't get voice samples from all of the suspects and compare them to Mr. X on Richard Dolan's show. English people always mimic Americans by sounding Southern. That's interesting. I have not heard that. Conspiracy says, word on the street is David Chilcock is saying he doesn't need any dildos as long as Corey Goodfornothing has his back. Oh boy. Oh boy. Greer is creepy, seems aggro. Yeah, he's kind of creepy, that guy. He definitely kind of creepy. Those tight jeans, Professor Fez says. Oh no. Yeah. Mario Heat says Trump is a large ape. Quite possibly. Then somebody offered to give money to his favorite charity if he could prove that he was not fathered by an orangutan. Speaking of orangutans, that orange hair and that orange face. Oh, geez. PBR Street Gang says, not Tim, no way. Maybe we'll take him off our list, PBR Street Gang. And Vanessa Thor, Greer looks like an alien. Maybe he's a hybrid. So does Jack Ma. Not familiar with that person, but yeah, he does look a little strange, especially the balder that he gets. His head's real big, you know. Maybe he's a part of the Nephilim, right? You never know, friends. You never know. But we have Vanessa Thor in our live chat, who is an actual full-bred alien, the granddaughter of Valiant Thor. Interesting. Very interesting. So, friends, I think we're going to wrap things up here. I have a bunch of other stuff that I have to try to do before getting some much-needed rest tonight. I do sincerely apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, and I want to thank once again those people who were trying to call me. Next time that happens, I'll know to just answer the phone because somebody's trying to alert me of something stupid happening, like there being no microphone for the first 10 minutes of the show. But like I said, I'm going to fix it tomorrow. I'm going to download, my software lets me download each show. So I'm going to download the show. I'll cut out the part where there was no audio and then upload it to YouTube. And I might even do that tonight just so that I get it out of the way and it's done. You know, I think, Adam Mind says, nice show, Stephen. Thank you. I have 100 more in a folder. We're just going to keep, quite honestly, friends, what we're doing here right now is we're going through all of my favorite conspiracy land stories that I grew up with. And it's fun for me because I get to sort of check back in with them, see if there's been new evidence or new parts of the story. There was tons of new parts of the Dybbuk box story. A few new tidbits of this orang Pendak, like the Tapanuli orangutan that was discovered really in 2017 when they did a DNA study. Yeah, Mario Heat says, great show minus the beginning. All right, Mario Heat. Yeah, man, I'm doing my best here. Like I said, it's a live show. You know, I have to learn to just laugh off these things, roll with the punches, keep going, keep moving forward. I think that we're doing very good lately on a lot of different fronts. And I wanted to also mention that the next big upgrade for us is going to be moving. We're going to be moving to 5 more streaming destinations. So right now we're streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. We're going to be adding 5 more destinations soon. We're going to be upgrading the software to allow for those 5 more destinations. If anybody has any suggestions, I'm thinking BitChute and a few others. Somebody was talking to me about Periscope and a few others. I'm not sure what's out there, what the other alternatives are, but we want to spread the show as much as possible. So we will soon be doing that. And also on the subscriber front, we are up to like 439 subscribers, which is great, which means we're almost halfway to my original goal, is to get to the 1,000 subscribers, which will then allow us to be monetized, get a few ad pennies, and also, most importantly, we'll be able to accept super chat donations. In the meantime, we can accept what I call not so super chat donations. If you make a PayPal donation, you add a note with your user ID and I read it online. And that is in the About section. Just click on Donate by PayPal. Or you can also become a Patreon supporter. That is $1 or more every month. And I noticed that somebody just became a $7 a month Patreon supporter. So thank you to that person. I don't want to read out the name that Patreon gives me because it may be your real name, but they're going to know who they are. Thank them very much. And thank each and every one of you who has donated anything. Thank you so much to the Patreon supporters. You are enabling our show to continue moving forward. And it's, the show's going to continue to grow. I keep saying this every day. I'm coming here and watering this garden, and this garden will grow. That's the key. You just got to give consistent effort, continue to put a little bit of work in, a little bit at a time, whatever you can afford, whatever time you have. And I'm willing to do it. I'm here. I've got very little other things going on. So, yeah, Professor Fez says don't get emotionally invested. Have fun with it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Some of those shows where I'm like going after frauds, it gets kind of negative and heated. I'm going to try to keep it fun. PBR Street Bang. Yeah, I worked at NBC. Just move on after fuck up. Yeah, absolutely. That's what you got to do. You just got to roll with the punches. Things happen. I've seen stuff on live TV that makes tonight look like nothing. Lee Veltman. I have to watch I have to watch on replay. Sorry, late as usual. Yeah, skip the first 10 minutes because my mic was off. I'm an idiot. But luckily, I just kind of started over. So skip the part in the beginning with no audio. I will be uploading a fixed version of this video soon. Roy Sinclair, where do you find the motivation, Stephen? Well, I'm very passionate about these subjects, and I have always been since I was a child. I loved all these stories. I loved those Time Life books. When when we were a kid, there was no YouTube. There was, when I was a young child, especially, there was no YouTube. There was no, once in a while there'd be a documentary on TV about aliens or Bigfoot. When I would watch those, my father was somewhat interested in this kind of stuff. I'd read sci-fi magazines about flying saucers and the Time Life books. You'd get a mystery every month. And my dad had signed up for those. I loved those when I was a kid. I'm just very passionate about this stuff. And I want to get to the truth of some of these stories. That's my motivation. Is this real, or is this, just a myth, just a story? Yeah. So, and as far as motivation, I have I don't know. I just, I feel very driven to do this. When this COVID thing hit, I had nothing going on. My business is in the crapper, can't go outside, got nothing else to do. So I said, let me now, while I have this time sitting here in my house, let me take the time to do that which I need to do in order to, in order to make this happen. I may not have been able to do this otherwise. So there's a silver, lining in every cloud. And my silver lining for this COVID quarantine crap show has been that I've been able to do this with all of you. And I'm very grateful for that. And again, I just want to thank everybody that has supported me in any way. The other way that everybody can support me is we all know other people that are just as into these strange subjects as us. So I would ask that if you do know somebody, please email them the channel link here and tell them that they should subscribe, that they would probably enjoy this show. Really trying to increase our subscriber base. So there's other ways to support me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I understand that times are really rough right now. If you don't have a few bucks, I understand that. A lot of people can't afford to give me a one-time donation on PayPal or give me a monthly donation on Patreon. I absolutely understand that. You can support me in other ways by commenting, subscribing, sharing each video on social media. Like Out of Mind has a whole website and she shares every one of my videos. So again, thank you to Out of Mind. And that's another thing. We probably hit the 10,000 views a lot sooner because external links, for some reason, YouTube is not counting. And Out of Mind can show like that she posts one of my shows and it gets 200 or 300 views that don't register on YouTube. So thank her for that, because then I get some indication that there's other outlets where people are watching and I'm not even getting the credit for them. Oh, that's an excellent question, Bunya, and it's on my list, actually. I have Bunya says, would you be interested in investigating Catholic miracle events like Fatima, Lourdes, etc.? Absolutely. And also Padre Pio, the Stigmata, and many, many other Catholic, we have St. John Newman, we have the whole deal about incorruptible bodies and saints I want to do a show on. I have probably 5 or 6 shows centered around Catholicism and Catholic miracles, the papacy, many things. Bunny, I grew up Catholic. I happen to be very knowledgeable on those subjects, and I thought that it would be a good thing to share. PBR Street Gang says, I just shared on Twitter. Thank you very much, PBR Street Gang. I sincerely appreciate it. Well, friends, again, I apologize for the technical issues. Thank you all for understanding. I'm going to fix that. It's not a big deal. It's just one more hurdle to overcome on our road to success here, which I'm fine with. You got to be able to overcome obstacles if you're going to win. So, friends, we're coming up on the 2 hour mark, and YouTube hates when we hit the 2 hour mark or go over it. So we're going to have to cut things short here. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And there should be a show tomorrow night. Please to join us again at 10 p.m. tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another exciting edition of Truth Seekers. Thank you, all of you fellow Truth Seekers, for joining us, for taking part. It is a collective effort. I cannot do this alone. I need you here with me to take this journey. Good night, friends.